are possible. All things are possible. All things are possible for me. Yeah, that's right, all things. Come on now. All things are possible. Let's claim it together. All things are possible. All things are possible for me. 'Cause God's life is my life.
I moved into the space of tithing, which is the 10% at the core council retreat, not this year, but the year before. Sherry Woods was sharing her experience of tithing and her non-negotiables, and she mentioned that there's times when, she wasn't sure how the bills were going to get paid, and I'm thinking, wow, like Sherry has her shit together, right? Like Sherry is a mental equivalent of mine, and for her to express that she actually had fear, that she actually went through the same thought processes and came out the other end with this as a non-negotiable really spoke volumes to me and allowed me the permission to explore it from that same way. And I made a decision on that day to start tithing. There was one time this summer, had a couple things come up, and I was holding on so tight to my tithe, and the math wasn't adding up, and I was making myself wrong and going into shame, blame, and guilt, and I loosened it up a little. I put out realistic expectations because I know the center depends on my word, being good to my word, and on the money that I say that I'm going to put forth. And so I readjusted temporarily. 3 days later, my boss came into my office and said, go ahead and write yourself a letter saying I'm going to, with an increase in pay. And she gave me a bump in pay. That had happened right after I loosened my grip so tight. And it allowed the expansion of money and finances and my relationship with it to open up and get me out of linear thinking. It was so exciting to have that demonstration. So I love this topic, and I love moving through it, and I love uncovering my false beliefs along the way, because it's tied into so many other areas of my spiritual growth.
My dad, Joe Tinker, and in our family, thank you. In our family, we've always had an abundance of music. So we'd like to share that with you.
When you feel sad or under a curse, your life is bad, your prospects are worse, your wife is sighing, crying, and your olive tree is dying. Temples are graying and teeth are decaying and creditors weighing your purse. Your mood and your robe are both a deep blue. You'd bet that Job had nothing on you. Don't forget that when you get to heaven, you'll be blessed. Yes, it's all for the best.
Some men are born to live at ease, doing what they please, are richer than the bees are in honey. Never growing old, never feeling cold, pulling pots of gold from thin air. The best in every town, best at checking down, best in making mountains of money. They can't take it with them, but what do they care? They get the center of the meat, cushions on the seat, houses on the street where it's sunny. Summers at the sea, winters warm and free, all of this and we get the rest. But who is the land for, the sun and the sand for? You guessed, it's all for the best.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. Hey, son.
Hey, Pop.
Where are you going to be next weekend?
Well, I think I'll be right here at CSLDallas, a Center for Spiritual Living, at our variety show.
At the variety show?
At the variety show.
Well, are you going to sing at the variety show?
I do believe I will sing at the variety show. Are you going to sing at the variety show?
I'm surely going to sing at the variety show.
Well, why don't we just do a little singing together?
Sounds like a good idea. When you feel sad or under a curse, your life is bad.
Never growing old, never feeling
Your
cold, pulling
prospects
from
are
the cold
worse.
from thin air.
Your wife
The
is
best in every
sighing,
town, better take it down, better make it mountains
your
of
olive tree
money.
dying.
They can't take it with them, but what do
Predators
they
weighing your
care?
pressure,
They
moving
get
your
the center of the
road.
beat, 'cause it's on a seat house, it's on a street where it's sunny.
You bet that
Summer's at the
so.
sea, winter's roaming free,
And
all
nothing
of us
on
we
you.
get the rest.
I don't forget that
But
when
who's the
you
land
get
for
to
the sun
heaven,
and the
you'll be
sand
blessed.
for you guess
Yes,
it's all for the best.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Hey, Pop!
What, son?
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Yuka?
Yuka who?
You can let me play that ukulele.
Well, all right.
Some men now born to live at ease, doing what they please, richer than the bees are in honey. Never growing old, never feeling cold, pulling clouds of gold from thin air. The best in every town, best at taking down, best at making mountains of money. They can't take it with them, but what do they care? They get the center of the meat, cushions on a seat, houses on the street where it's sunny. Summers at the sea, winters roaming free, all of this and we get the rest. But who is the land for, the sun and the sand for? You guess it's all for the...
All your wrongs will be redressed.
Yes, it's all for the... You must never be distressed.
Yes, it's all for the... Ain't nobody got to be oppressed.
Yes, it's all for the best.
We said we were going to have fun today, didn't we? You know, spirituality isn't just all seriousness. You know that, right? We can have fun and be spiritual. So there was great creativity between father and son. That's a great preview. So be here Saturday night with myself to see this variety show. It's free, so no excuse, and adult beverages to boot. So anyway, but on to the topic at hand, the trouble with Tribbles. That is a perfect representation because if you think about it, how many of us grew up with, never going to be enough money, never going to be enough money. Okay, they sing better than I do right now. I'm a cappella. But, you know, never have enough, never had enough, never have enough. Or, you know, what other messages did we get when we were growing up? Money is evil. We talked about that Wednesday night in the Wednesday night series. There's, you know, how about those wealthy people? Oh my goodness, those wealthy people, you know, they just don't even, they can't take it with them to heaven, so why are they holding on to it? All the things that we've heard about money. And the great news is that we don't believe that here. So we're all about continuing to understand what it really means to live, love, and prosper. And when we start thinking about this and looking at this, you know, 2 weeks ago I talked about receiving. How many people have upped their receivership since the first of the month? You know, accepting they're good. All they're good, right? So it's about life itself. Life is pregnant with itself. Life is pregnant with giving to itself all the time. It just loves to expand and to give and to flourish and to thrive, right? It's like life is self-perpetuating. Love is the principle of life, and it loves to give it. It's self-perpetuating. And life is pregnant with more life all the time. So... that brings us to our Trekkie fans. How many Trekkie fans do we have in the room? Okay, so if you're a Trekkie fan, you know what these are. Right? And the most popular episode. How could we do this whole theme on live, love, and prosper and not show trouble with tribbles? So, but here's an interesting thing. When I started looking into it, I'm like, okay, really, what am I going to say about this and as it relates to tribbles? I did not know that when tribbles come into this life, they are pregnant. They are pregnant with life. I just embodied Joe Tinker. I felt it. They're pregnant with life, and they expand and they give it. So let's see what happens when life takes hold and is pregnant.
They seem to be gorged.
Gorged? On my grain? Kirk, I am going to hold you responsible. There must be thousands of them.
Hundreds of thousands. 1,771,561. That's assuming one tribble, multiplying with an average litter of 10, producing a new generation every 12 hours over a period of 3 days.
Okay, that's life constantly multiplying and pregnant with itself. 1.7 some odd tribbles in 3 days. That's amazing. So our good is constantly multiplying. That's the point. It's pregnant with life. But what was the word that you heard Spock say first about the tribbles? Gorged. So, they gorged. So they just gorged life. They just took it all in. And so, yes, life is pregnant, but one can't gorge life. We have to let life move through us and to let it pass through us. And that brings us to the law of circulation. And that's what we really want to talk about this morning is the law of circulation. Everything about source and how it manifests in this universe is about a cycle of life. Everything is a cycle of life. It gives and it receives. It receives and it gives. If we look at everything in life, let's just take the weather patterns. There's a cycle in the weather patterns. There's a cycle in the seasons. Look at our bodies. There is a circulatory system that is going on in our bodies. We don't just have blood flowing into the heart. Okay, y'all are getting it. I mean, think of that. It has to flow out of the heart as well. It's a massive circulatory system right here in the wholeness of each of us. Okay, do this with me. Take a breath. 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 They're having a party over there. Now, really take a breath. Now let it out. Let it out. Let it out. See the point? Even our own breath, we must take it in and we must let it out. That is a cycle of a breath, and it happens all the time, and most of the time we don't even think about it. So, Ernest Holmes tells us that life is an eternal givingness, the offering of the cosmic self to the joy of its own fulfillment. You and I are part of this joy, and we find fulfillment only as this joy passes through us to others. Only as we allow ourselves to be that which life is and allow that joy to pass through us and to others, to give it to others. Everything moves in circles. Everything moves. And when we short-circuit our own good, we do it when we refuse to pass it on. To refuse to give is to refuse to receive. for everything moves in circles. I have a tickle. The Tribbles are tickling me. Jesus said, give, and to you shall be given. Given to you shall be given. And moreover, he said that when you give, the gift returns to you multiplied. It returns to you multiplied. And you know what? It honestly sometimes seems too good to be true. But let's look back at life itself and nature again. When a seed of a tomato gives and puts itself in the soil, you get the picture. We put it in the soil. But the seed, one seed goes into the soil, and it gives of itself, and it multiplies. And because of that one seed, an entire tomato plant will grow. And you'll have all these multiple of tomatoes on this vine. And what's within each and every tomato, if not a multitude of seeds? It is a circle. That is the law of circulation. And it give, and it shall be multiplied. There's this law of multiplicity in nature, and as you give, it shall be given back to you. And as Holmes likes to say, in Jesus too, that type is multiplied, good measure, running over, and pressed down. And it happens all the time. Now, one of the things that I wanted to bring to the surface today is not only is there giving that passes through us, but there is spending. And there are differences in giving and spending. Spending is actually a form of giving, first and foremost. So when we spend and buy something, whatever it is, think about everything that we spend our money on. There are a multitude of people that are touched because of it, because we spend. When we go to the grocery store, we're touching the farmers, we're touching the truck drivers, in some case maybe an airline pilot, whatever, right? But we are touching a multitude of lives by our spending. So we can't stop the flow of our spending. However, we were talking about this Wednesday night in the Wednesday series, and it's like, well, I want to claim my abundance. And it's like, so should I just spend even if I don't really have it? I don't want to feel like I'm in lack. And that brings to the forefront that I'm practicing and working with this whole spiritual principle called conscious spending. That has nothing to do with lack. But I can choose to consciously spend how the money runs through me. I've recently decided maybe I don't need to buy as many Starbucks, and I can put $5 in a savings account every time I want and then go travel with it. But I'm consciously choosing how to spend. But one of the differences about spending rather than giving is when we spend, we get something right then and there. We get it instantly. That's the instant gratification, whatever we spend our money on. When we give of our money, it is now in the universal whole. We give, and it's beyond us. It's in this universal whole. And giving is different than spending to get something. So one of the best examples of this whole idea of the law of circulation, of giving, that it is a cycle of life, it is a circle of life. We are not to be the blockage in the throughput, no more than we would want our heart to be the blockage of our blood, is the idea of two seas that live close together to one another. And actually, they're really lakes. But in Palestine, in the north, there is the Sea of Galilee, right? And the Jordan River flows through this area. So you have the Sea of Galilee, and then you have the Dead Sea. They're in very close proximity. The same source, the same river, is touching both of them. If we look at the Sea of Galilee, however, it is filled with abundance and life, and it's thriving, and everything around it is just gorgeous. And Every person that lives around there is touched by the thriving of the Sea of Galilee. There are fishes and all that good stuff, right? What happens in the Sea of Galilee is the River Jordan comes in, and the same amount that comes in flows out. So that source of life is flowing through the Sea of Galilee. It's not restricted, it's not hoarded, it's not held on to. The sea accepts it, receives its good, and then lets it flow out and gives back and allows that river to move on. Contrast that with the Dead Sea. It is a very different body of water. It's below sea level. So when the River Jordan comes in, it does not go out. It stays stagnant. It hits the source. And actually, there's this wonderful statistic that I found that because it does not flow out and there's no outlet streams from the Dead Sea, we're talking about 7 million tons of water evaporate from the Dead Sea every day. It also has the highest content of salt of any body of water. That's why some people go there. For the only reason they will come close to it is to float in that body of water. But there is no life, there is no thriving, there is nothing happening around this body of water. And then think about how this river flows in, and 7 million tons of water goes poof. It evaporates. Yeah. So if we look at this idea of receiving and giving, Ernest Holmes shares with us that there is no reason we should ever stop accepting more and more of our good. Our thought should so enlarge that it cannot help gathering more and more, even though, with the other hand, we are ever distributing what we gather. We cannot just be gatherers. Indeed, the only reason for having is that we may give to others. The only reason for having is to give to others. And so there's something calling each of us. It's calling each of us to, can we be that Sea of Galilee even more? And if there's any kind of Dead Sea within us, can we let that go and embrace Galilee more? There's something calling us a little bit deeper.
Something's calling me. Something's calling me. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. I feel like I'm walking on marbles. I can't still the earth beneath my feet. Got my head in the clouds, my naked legs left dangling. I can feel my heart begin to pound, and everybody say, something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. The long dark night, my soul it wanders. I can't If God is everything and everywhere that I belong, Spirit gently wakes me from my sleep. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Oh Lord, oh Lord, take me deeper than I've ever been before. Oh Lord, pull me deeper than I've ever been before. Oh Lord, I know I'm not the only one to live inside these blues. Oh Lord, I surrender my life to you. Oh Lord, I give my life, I give my love to you. Oh, something's calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Faith is calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Peace is calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Giving is calling me a little bit deeper than I've ever been before. Love is calling me, and I'm grateful like I've never been before.
So something's calling us. And it is Goethe who says, a joy shared is a joy doubled. We are a tithing community. We are a Sea of Galilee.
So as you may know that we give a tithe every month. We send a tithe out of all that you have given to us. We share it. We allow it to pass through us. And we tithe to where we are spiritually supported. Centers for Spiritual Living, primarily, and other organizations that we share a vision with. And it is so important to be a part of that flow. And yet what we know to be true is that what sustains and supports this community is the way Spirit shows up, is you. You are the primary avenue through which Source gives to this organization. You give to the organization so that it can do what it does. But mostly the truth is, we're just giving to each other because we want to be in community together. Because we understand that it matters what we do here and that our gift matters to each other. So this month, we're choosing to tithe to the place where we get spiritually fed, and that's you. So we invite our gift givers to come up. And they're going to pass a basket from which we ask you to take an envelope as our tithe, this organization's, this community's tithe to each other. We are going to ask you to take a gift, even if this is your first Sunday that you've ever been here. This is an opportunity for us to participate in the law of circulation with you. Because you see, money is nothing but God in action. It's just love. It's the love that we spread around to each other. You give so freely of your time, your talent, and your money. And without it, we couldn't be who we are. And that has to be shared back, so that we're all called deeper into this truth that there is enough. There's enough for each one of us. There's enough for every person on the face of this planet. There's enough good to be spread around so that life can flourish and grow. Please accept the gift. Don't let it pass you by.
And the only thing that we have as a requirement, or basically, the one rule, you cannot put it in the basket today when we do pass the basket to take our offering up. This, you can do with it whatever you want.
You're not required to multiply it or invest it or bring back 10% of it or anything, right? This is what it means to give a gift. It's to give it. Not like spending, we're expecting to get something back, but to give it, to circulate it. And to recognize how important that exchange is. Do you see, we're just breathing together. And it matters. It matters that we stand in the truth of that, and we stand in our conviction of that. And we hold each other up when any one of us forgets. So I'm going to invite you to take that gift in your hands.
Make sure everyone has one. Is there anyone who did not receive an envelope?
Our music team received it this morning. Earlier, we've got some hands up here.
Right up front.
Marcia, right up here, and some in the back over there. We'll make sure that our music team got it already at the first service. So just remember, the one rule is that you can't give it in the basket. You can't slip it to either one of us as you're leaving out the door. This is about breathing.
Did all of our greeters get an envelope?
It's about breathing.
So we're taking the envelope.
Take your gift in your hand. And as we go within with ourselves and each other right now, we simply realize that there is this one power and presence, this infinite source. The Hindus call it the pregnant void, from which all life springs. The impulse of life itself is love, to give of itself into creation. That is its sole desire and its sole purpose, and it's moving through each and every one of us. Through all people, all beings, all life is a place where that love is shared and grown. And it is in the giving and receiving that life flows in, through, and as each one of us. So as we stand here this morning and receive this gift, let us receive it as an acknowledgement for all that we have given. Let us experience this as the source of life itself, showering us, pouring us with those 1.7 million moments of good, as it has showered down out of the coffers of life itself into our very hands. And we accept it, and we bless it. And in turn, we allow ourselves to be that place of flourishing life, that it grows and moves through us, ever unfolding, ever expanding, ever increasing in so many ways. As we do this, we are so profoundly blessed by the good that is life itself, and we too become a blessing. And so I just invite you to take a breath and let it out. Being in the presence of God, experiencing the presence of the divine, is as simple and natural as breathing. And together we say, and so it is.
Love is calling me, and I'm grateful like I've never been before.